Hello everybody, it's Current Cartoon TV coming to you with another Steven Universe Future Review. My name is Outlaw and I will be your host today. I'm also joined by Red.
Hello everybody.
And we also have Gundam.
What's up, guys?
So let's go ahead and jump into this review. The first episode we're going to go into is In Dream. And the synopsis of this episode is Steven Dream starts to broadcast on his own TV. So Gundam, how about you go ahead and give me your likes of this episode?
Well, first off, I love the colors of this episode. I loved all the darker tones. Both the colors, I love the scary movie vibe that they were giving it. So everything was kind of like dark and moody. And then when he goes back and he wakes up, it sounded like, fresh and bright. And I loved the concept of seeing dreams on TV. I definitely wanted more of this episode. And I think that more mystery episodes should be where they're going because it's more engaging for the user. And it really helps in, get us into the world a little bit more than just watching an episode, But I loved it. And my favorite scene is when, Peridot just turned around and it was just the TV color screen in her eyes.
Peridot, come on, we gotta stop. Are you listening to me? Why won't you look at me?
That actually scared me. I was a little freaked out. I'm like, oh my god.
Same. I was like, like I said, I love the scary movie vibe of this one, and it really brought it down to earth.
And how about you, Red? What was your likes of this episode?
I am definitely going to have to agree with Gundam because this episode was amazing. The animation just seems so crisp and clear, and the colors are always so vivid. Love this episode. But it was great to see Peridot again. It feels like we haven't seen her in most of the season, so that was good. I like how they're starting to draw Steven and Peridot's faces like kind of meme faces. They're just over dramatic faces, and it's just so hysterical. They're just like one frame, and it just cracks me up. I also like the side note when Steven's explaining to Peridot what the story is like Camp Pining Heart with his poutine allergy. I died.
Just can't get into Rodrigo, can you?
He's so infuriatingly passive.
Hey, I get that his social anxiety and poutine allergy aren't really connected to the larger story.
I was not expecting that. Yeah, I like how at the end, he finally told her, how he's been feeling and how he just feels unwanted because he's been wanting and needing to fix everything because it seems like all of his friendships are based on the fact that they needed him for something. So I think that part was actually my favorite scene when he woke up in tears.
Steven! Steven, I saw everything. It's fine. We don't have to do this anymore. I don't care about the show, and I definitely don't care about Rodrigo. I'm such a clod.
And she was just so supportive and was there to help him. I got a little teary-eyed because it's scary to wake up from those trippy dreams and think that they're so real, but they're, embodying your actual emotions. So I really loved that episode. It had a really deeper meaning to it.
And what I liked about this episode is actually we see Peridot actually being very excited about the classic Camp Pining Hearts actually being rebooted.
You promised me.
Oh, are you talking about the reboot of the classic Great Northern teen drama, Camp Pining Hearts, that I recorded on this tape? The return of Camp Pining Hearts!
Kind of reminds me a little bit about how reboots happen in the real world. Like we had the 2000s Thundercat and She-Ra. Those are great reboots so far. But also that comes at a price though. We do have some of these reboots that are horrible. One of them being Teen Titans Go.
Oh my god, don't even mention it.
And the other one, Thundercats Roar. That is horrible.
I believe you.
There are good and bad reboots all the time, but people need to know when they do a reboot, they need to take it with care, faithful to the source material, and to continue it going forward and have it actual end game. Because most of these reboots seem like they don't know where they want to do the story, even though the story is already kind of there. They want to do something different, but they want to reboot it at the same time. So yeah.
And then we also might have finally heard the final villain of the series at the beginning of the episode, especially with the cookie cat face when Steven was in his dream. Just hear that voice and all that, like no one needs you, no one wants you, and then the floors drop on Steven.
Steven, no one needs your help. So why are you still here?
What?
I got a feeling that is going to be the big guy in the intro.
My theory is still that the big purple thing is Steven, and that voice, you're right, that is the big villain, but guess who that becomes? Steven.
I do also like that Steven actually admits that most of the time that Peridot and him hang out is actually trying to fit something. First was the cluster, then the diamonds, and then even Spinel, which I absolutely love that they actually acknowledged the movie into the series.
I was like, finally.
She's also in the opening credits too, so we're like, where are we gonna see Spinel again?
Yeah, and I also like seeing how Steven actually struggles a little bit when Peridot actually suggests that Stefan actually kisses Jasmine in the dream. That actually Stefan is actually his persona in Camp Pining Hearts in here, and he actually feels like he's betraying Connie in some way.
Yeah, like he's like, I can't do this even in a dream.
At the very end, Peridot actually admitting that she was a clod and actually agrees with Steven that they could hang out without any like problems or anything that needs to be fixed. That is what my likes is. And then one of my favorite scenes was the shock on Stefan's face when he was about ready to kiss Jasmine, and then there was Connie.
What? Stefan, how could you?
So let's go ahead and go into our dislikes. Gundam, how about you go ahead and tell us what your dislikes of this episode?
I have 0 dislikes of this episode. I thought it was fantastic from start to finish. I loved the pacing, and I wanted more.
And how about you, Red?
I don't really have any major dislikes. It's more like what I've noticed, and it's kind of like a pet peeve, but even in this episode, Steven isn't telling Peridot about his feeling, and it's that constant need, that constant feeling that he needs to fix everything. And it's very true to what teenagers feel. They bottle it up and then they just wait for it to explode. And I get that, but it's a little frustrating because in this whole Steven Universe future, we've seen in the past that, he was open to expressing himself and telling people how you feel and, friendship and whatnot. And now that he's grown older, he's kind of curled in on himself. So it's a little sad to see, but it's like, I get it. We've all gone through that or are going to go through that. So it's not really a dislike, it's just like what I've noticed, and it's kind of like a little pet peeve, but other than that, amazing episode.
One of my dislikes is actually that Peridot actually passively forced Steven to do the scene with Jasmine. It's like she didn't do it on purpose, but kind of did it on purpose. Like kind of walking away, like, oh, I'll just go back to where I came, and all moping and all that, which kind of pushed the envelope for Steven to actually do the scene. So it was like kind of out of place, but again, it's just a pet peeve. It's nothing really bad about the episode and all that. So let's go ahead and go to our ratings here. Gundam, how about you give us your rating?
I have to give this episode a 5 out of 5. I really did not have anything to dislike about it, and I think they should do more episodes like this where there's a mystery involved, where you try to solve kind of what's going on. Why is he having these dreams? Why is there's different things in the dreams? I think they should do more stuff like that versus a more straightforward episode.
How about you, Red? What's your rating on this?
I'm gonna go also with Gundam. 5 out of 5. This was awesome. It was a great comeback to the Steven Universe feature.
And I'm also going to agree with you guys. I'm also going to give this a 5 out of 5. It was a great episode to come back into. Great mystery. But I actually noticed that you guys didn't say something about this. When Steven actually woke up from his last dream and he woke up into a different bedroom.
Yeah, where his bed was against the wall.
Yeah, like his bed wasn't in the middle, but it was in the... his bed wasn't in the middle, but it was in the side.
That was his first room from the first series of Steven Universe. He woke up to his old house.
Whoa. Dude, I didn't even notice that. That's super cool.
When I saw it, I honestly thought it was just like a animation mistake, but you're right. That's actually on purpose.
I thought it was like a metaphor. Because, like, his bedroom's, like, closer to the wall, and, like, so he's becoming, like, more kind of shunned away instead of being in the middle and open for everything. So I'm like, maybe it's a deeper metaphor, but no, it's not.
So let's go ahead and go into our next episode of Bismuth Casual. And the synopsis of this is Pearl invites Bismuth to a roller ring for a lesson on how to forge human relationship. So Red, how about you give me your likes of this episode?
Oof. I loved this episode so much. Like right off the bat, we're in the car. Pearls just starts singing the commercial.
Turn it up! Camshafts is the place to bring your wreck. Get your car repaired for cheap and fair without risking your neck. Camshafts.
And I feel like we can all relate to that, or at least most people can relate to that. Just one stupid catchy jingle that we just love it. And we're like, yeah, it's our jam. And it's just a stupid commercial. I also really like the flirtation between Bismuth and Pearl. It's just so cute and romantic. And I had no idea that Bismuth even, really liked Pearl that much. So that was pretty cool.
Some people say that there was some hinting before, but I don't think so. I think that's a reach on some parts, but hey, here we go.
I also liked how we get to see these different characters and the inclusivity with it as well. Like Connie's friend Patricia with the hijab. Like, that's so cool. We don't usually see that in like American animation. So it's really cool to just see like everybody included. And that's amazing. I love it. Bismuth's pep talk. Love that. I'm like, yes, you're blunt. You say what's wrong. You go solve it right now.
But Connie came here to be with you. You've got nothing to mope about.
But her friends think I'm weird.
Of course you're weird. You're a crystal gem.
Oof, I loved it. I'm like, finally, Bismuth talking some sense into him. So my favorite scene was when Steven and Connie fused and became Stevani.
Come on, I have an idea.
Have to wait. Close my eyes, let down my hair. I'm thinking about what I want. It's gonna take me there.
And when they did the roller skating dance, that brought me back because I still love to go to roller skating rings. I have my rollerblades in my car at all times, just in case for the opportune moment. So that one just really hit home. I loved the episode. It was so cute and good.
And how about you, Gundam? What did you like about this episode?
Well, for one, you already know what I'm going to say. The colors in this episode were absolutely amazing. Everything from the blues, the purples, the pinks, everything from the car ride over in the background to when Stevani fuses with Steven and the whole background just goes every color you can imagine with them spinning around the floor. I love that the floor of the roller rink looks just like the floor of like all of our roller rinks here with like it's just the random star patterns or whatever random shapes of colors that are on the ground, which was awesome and amazing. I love the interactions with Pearl and the humans as well. It was really funny to see. She's like, hey, here's some toilet paper. This is awesome, and it's like it's true. Yeah, hey, I would accept some toilet paper. You can always there's always a time to use some toilet paper. Trust me. I also love the flow of this episode. I thought it was really well paced from the beginning to the middle to the end. I thought they did a really cohesive story from Steven's point of view with Connie's school kids and how he's relating to human life and gem life and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was really, really well done.
Yeah, and it brings up a great point that like we kind of forget that Steven hasn't gone to school ever.
Only been homeschooled by gems.
Yeah.
That's true. And Greg, if you can count that. My favorite scene was the same favorite scene of Stevani fusing and going through the competition.
The dial on the stereo. I'm thinking about who I want, and I won't let go. You can't hold me now. Only I can do that. You can't hold me now.
The colors and everything, well, you already know. And the music was really good too.
The music was awesome.
And what I actually like about this is we get to see Steven actually react around other teenagers at his age. It's quite awkward, to be honest with you. It's like, hey, what grade are you in? 16? It was like, what?
I get it, Steven. I get it.
And we also get to learn that Bismuth actually has a crush on Pearl. Honestly, I never saw that coming out of anywhere. I actually was hoping to see Mystery Girl, to be honest, but I'm actually kind of digging this new little relationship.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna bring back Mystery Girl because the last season, Pearl kind of got over Rose. She still loves her, but it's like it's time for her to move on. So I think if they bring her back, it's just gonna like drag her back all those bad memories.
Yep, and then also like seeing Pearl actually hanging out with other humans. Even if giving them free rolls of toilet paper is one way of doing it, she's actually going out there and connecting herself with other humans. And we actually get to see Stevani actually shred it on the roller ring, which is actually one of my favorite scenes. You just see her just freaking skating around people, flipping around there, and then that last stunt she did with the splits at the end.
Only I can do that. You can't hold me now. Only I can do that. You can't hold me now. Hold me now. Ooh.
Like, oh man, I wish I could do that.
That hurt my legs.
And then she actually pulls herself up like if she was a rag doll. That was actually kind of cool to see. So Red, how about you give me your dislikes of this episode?
You know, I actually have no dislikes again. Like, these 2 episodes were really great story builders. I fully enjoyed it.
Gundam, how about you give me your dislikes of this episode?
Well, I have one dislike of this episode, and it's the same one as usual. This episode, as good as it was, did not move the plot forward in any conceivable way. Now, I know you're going to say, well, shouldn't you say that about the previous episode as well, too? But it gave us a mystery that can be explained further in another episode that is showing more. That episode showed more without words than this episode did with words. It didn't reference the previous episode at all either, which is really important that Steven finds out why he's dreaming all this stuff. What's all this omens that are happening? Because remember all his previous dreams about diamonds and stuff? That also made sense, and that made plot heavy, thing in the future as well, too, where things are happening, who's, what's going on. Diamonds were in his dreams as well, too. It just did not move the story forward for me at all. It's just a filler episode. I'm sorry.
I feel like we needed this filler, though. After, like, this whole season of Future has been like, ooh, it's heavy. Real problems, real emotions. Oh boy. But this is like a nice little break.
And I actually do have some dislikes myself. These are really nitpicks, and it really doesn't affect the story of this episode. But I'm actually shocked we didn't get to see Bismuth and Pearl actually fused at the end of the episode.
Maybe we will. Maybe they're not there yet.
Fusion so soon? I mean, I just don't think Pearl was even in that zone, currently, at least.
I'll agree with you on that one. And then actually one thing I did dislike is Steven having doubts about the relationship with Connie. It seems like he's actually feeling like he's not worth it to her anymore. But then you got Bismuth actually giving him the best prep talk ever and getting him out there on the floor. Let's go ahead and jump into our ratings here. Red, how about you give us your ratings of this?
5 out of 5. Loved it. Great episode.
Gundam, how about you?
I have to give this a 4 out of 5. I'm sorry, not perfect, but I still loved it.
I'm going to go with you, Gundam. I'm going to also give this a 4 out of 5. But we have more episodes coming up soon, and the next episode is actually a shocking one. The next episode is called Together Forever.
Ooh.
And the synapse of that episode, Connie has a very clear vision of her future, and Steven wants to make sure he is part of it. I know how the crew versus with their synapse and all that. This is going to be a big episode next week, so...
Oh my gosh.
So guys, make sure you guys stay tuned to our review of those 2 episodes coming out next week.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to ring that notification bell, and definitely leave a comment down below. We love hearing you guys' thoughts on all this, the episodes, and what you guys think. We have our Patreon in the description box as well, too. We have our website, which is www.currentcartoontv.com. And Red, you have some links down there as well.
I do. I have a Facebook page. I'm at Perfectly Red Cosplay. And I also have an Instagram at Perfectly Red.
And guys, don't forget about putting your own comments down here and your own rating of these 2 episodes down below. We would really like to hear what you guys actually thought about these episodes. So, thank you guys once again. And like always, till next time, good night.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody. One stupid catchy jingle that we just love it. We're like, yeah, it's our jam. And it's just a stupid commercial.
Yep.
Yep, Lunar in a row is the way to go.
Call 977-1900.
Exactly.
We are not endorsed by Leonard Rowe. Please do not demonetize us.